The family of 18-year-old Nolan Wells and their attorney Ben Crump are calling for an independent investigation into his death. Wells was reported missing on July 4th after spending the day with his friends on Horn Island off the coast of Mississippi. His body was discovered Monday following an intense search. Crump, a high-profile civil rights attorney, suggested today Wells' family might not be getting the full picture about what may have happened.
The family has distrust of the Mississippi law enforcement officials giving them a fair investigation where their black son ended up dead after going out on a boat with 3 young white men.
Crump joined Wells' parents on CBS Mornings Friday. They said it would be unlike him to stay behind on the island after his friends left by boat.
There was a lot of bad decisions made. I don't think my son volunteered to stay on that island. I can't believe that.
For more, let's bring in CBS News correspondent Skyler Henry. Skyler, former NFL star and civil rights activist Colin Kaepernick paid to fly Nolan's body to Washington for an independent autopsy. What do we know at this point, and where do the biggest questions remain?
Sure. Well, let's start with that autopsy. The attorney, Ben Crump, and his team were anticipating getting those results this afternoon at some point, but because of weather and the delays that happen in terms of the transport of Nolan Wells to Washington, D.C., that has been a bit of a delay there. But they say that as soon as they get those results, they will be released to the public. The big questions right now, Lindsay, are what happened from the time that Nolan Wells was last seen, which authorities say was around 3 p.m. on July 4th, to the time that his body was recovered 2 days later on Monday, July 6th. That is the big thing that obviously his parents want to figure out. They say that based off of the narrative that authorities have told them, they say that something isn't adding up, because those who returned back to the mainland off of Horn Island, which is about 10 miles from Mississippi's Gulf Coast, they had his cell phone and his keys. Apparently, what the friends told law enforcement was that Nolan wanted to stay behind and meet a girl. Well, they say that that is something that simply wouldn't happen, especially considering the fact that it takes a boat to get back to the mainland. And so they say that there are a lot of unanswered questions there. They also question the circumstances surrounding how they were able to come about getting Nolan's cell phone back in the first place. A family friend had to reach out and actually go to a friend's house to get both his phone and his keys. They say that they were following several different apps that were tied to Nolan's geographic location at the time. The family stays on what they call Life 360, which is that app that they sort of keep tabs on where their teens are moving throughout the area. They say that the phone was in one location and that his recent Snapchat locations were at different places on the map as well. And so they're just trying to connect the dots there. It's why we have seen the attorney Crump and others come out and ask for any sort of video, any sort of pictures that can help give law enforcement, and for that matter, the independent investigators, a bit more insight in terms of what happened on Horn Island at that time on that day, because they say that what they're getting from law enforcement right now simply isn't adding up. They say that they're also not moving at a pace that they would like. They're also questioning the fact that the sheriff came out earlier this week and came to a conclusion so quickly, calling this an accidental drowning initially, before saying that this is still an active investigation. So still very much a lot of questions out there.
Okay, Skyler Henry, thank you.